Hello and welcome to the Hardy Brain, the show that takes athletic, introverted entrepreneurs and leaders and transforms them into ironclad brain performers. I'm your host, Dr. David Hardy, and today on our show we've got another amazing guest. He is a high-energy speaker, a high-energy team builder, and a high-energy storyteller. Welcome to the show, Tyler Hayden.
Hey, it's great to be here, Doc. It's it's a brain show with introverted, athletic entrepreneurs looking to run. Like, you sound like my people. Like, when you invited me, I was like, I have to come here. I have to see what's going on. I'm so excited to be here. Let's jump in and see what we can do.
Absolutely. Now, high energy is kind of a theme, isn't it?
I might have just jumped out of, like, somebody driving down the road. They might have just felt me like climb out of their speakers in their car. So if that, or if you're on the treadmill, I apologize if you fell off. That was not my intention.
Well, what nicknames have you been given?
So I've been called the Canada's answer to alternative energy. Is been the one that I've been called, because I've been called the Energizer Bunny on crack. I've been called a lot of different things. And then there was basketball, which there was a lot of trash talk, but I don't think those had anything to do with my personality, but rather my ability to do well under the hoop.
I like it.
I think that's it.
I imagine the basketball was when growing up, right?
Yeah, I played basketball all the way through till the end of high school, and then when I went to university, I have a degree in recreation management. So I specialized in outdoor environmental education. So we did rock climbing, hiking, canoeing, high adventure sport stuff, nice. And kind of those outdoor adrenaline junkie things. So that has been my path since university all the way to now.
Ooh, nice. So along the way there too, you had some nicknames. Any diagnoses?
I have plenty of diagnosis. So I have attention deficit, and I have the H in there as well. So that is definitely something that has been one of my superpowers. I was invited actually to be in a book about ADHD and how you create success, and why it's as my friend Peter Davidson says, the gift of the hit. It's the things that happen to us along the way that give us the power, the energy, and the capacity to really begin to achieve. So that's a diagnosis. That one I've got, like, if you ever see one of the ADHD dockets, it's like as thick as War and Peace. I have one of those. It was an easy diagnosis because I used to drive like my pickup truck off the on-ramp. I used to do some very stupid things. I was very energetic. So that I'm also a survivor of sexual abuse. So I was sexually abused when I was a child. So with that, there's not really a diagnosis. It's more than an experience. But a lot of that is kind of shaped, who I am and how I approach life and how I approach the work that I do.
Well, kind of walk us through this, because with both of those, there's going to be a lot of things that impact you. Like, kind of the way I explain brain development is physically the brain's developing at the same time as environment hits you. So it's not nature versus nurture, it's development with environment.
Right.
And and a lot of diagnosis is there's parts of the brain nervous system that come online like super well, like above and beyond what it should. And then in other areas, there's deficits.
Okay.
And then of course, those deficits can lead to just dysregulation or emotional dysregulation, all sorts of dysregulation, learning challenges.
Dysregulated, really, Doc. I'm dysregulated. That's what I am. I'm so dysregulated that I made a career out of it.
Yeah. But on top of that, you've got these areas that are superpowers.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like a little trade-off. And then, of course, trauma in the wrong places can be even exacerbated or not as impactful, which is great if that's the case. Kind of walk us through maybe yourself there with just these incidences that happened on top of just, once again, having this nervous system that fires on So many different cylinders.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're, like you said, we're a product of the things that happen in our lives, and they have different impacts at different times. Always very fortunate to have a loving, caring household, so that was awesome. And really invested at a young age in things like camping and leadership development and all those things
Okay.
that kids kind of lean into. I started the largest student-run student leadership association in North America. When I was just exiting high school with a couple buddies, and I think it's those kind of like positive community things that were kind of the bedrock that helped me to feel stable, and to be able to grow from there. Finding places where my dysregulation was either normal or was supported. So finding your community is kind of what it's all about for me, and I think that's what led me down the path to working with teams and helping teams to perform better, helping leaders to really find their voice and know what their individual voice is, and how to use that voice to reach people where they're at. Because, I think, like you said, everybody's kind of coming from their own place, and it's a matter of how we can connect those dots in a way that makes people more successful.
So empathy is definitely another one of these areas that you've developed a knack for. How do you see it with people? Like, what do you see when you look at a group, a crowd, an individual, and just where they're at then?
Yeah, you know what? So a few years ago, I wrote a show called Mr. Potato Head, and I'm high energy, Doc.
You're from Nova Scotia, not PEI.
Yeah, right. Inspired by McCain's. The McCain's is not getting any money off of it. But you remember playing with Mr. Potato? Did you play with Mr. Potato Head?
Oh yeah,
right.
Classic.
Okay,
yeah.
So classic eyes, classic feet, classic hair, like all the things, right? But at the center of it all is the potato. And the way I look at people is they're potatoes, and I look at myself as though I'm a potato. And I had the opportunity to kind of trade out the eyes, and I got the opportunity to trade out the feet and the arms and all the things, right? Add new little, like a purse if I want to have a purse one day, or a pair of binoculars another day. And people are very much the same. What I found is that I'll meet somebody and I'll be like, that reminds me of the person who was in my biology class in grade 10. And I'll see like common like kind of tendencies, and I'll be like, this is how I can reach them because I remember that person. And that's kind of like taking off the eyes of the potato and saying, I remember these eyes from previously in my life. So one of the ways that I look at groups is understanding what the common through lines are of people I've recognized in the past. And that helps me to kind of know how, like, what buttons to push and how far you can, encourage and challenge and set them towards risk-taking behaviors, all those types of things. So that's one. And then the other thing that informs a lot of my work is the work of Howard Gardner from Harvard University. He's a prof at Harvard University. He talks about multiple intelligences. And we all know that, like learning styles isn't really a thing. But there are learning preferences. And I think
absolutely.
Absolutely. So if you've got a group of like HR professionals, or you've got a group of data design people or project managers or engineers, they're all going to approach things a little bit differently. Some of them are mathematical logical, some of them are kinesthetic, some of them are interpersonal. And when I'm leading a team, what I tend to do is I tend to lean towards those preferences. So if I'm working with engineers, we're going to do things that are mathematical logical. They can be counted, they can be numbered, they can be quantified. There's a winner, there's a loser, there's all that kind of stuff. And then if I'm working, say, with a group of designers, it's going to be visual. There's going to be patterns that are that unfold. It's going to be creative. It's going to be we're going to talk in terms of images, not in terms of facts. Talk in terms of future setting and visioning. So when you understand who the people are in the room and deliver to the way that they want to receive the information. much like Mr. Potato Head, we're looking for those common features that we already know work from previous people who are like-minded and like-abled.
Perfect.
Sorry.
And yeah, I've got a brain that connects way too many things together.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
And yeah, on that note though, like you strike me, and once again, this is like what makes you amazing at your career is you love winning people over. And I've seen you. I think you love, thrive on walking up to people that have that look of Tyler's way too much.
Well, I think
and flipping the script. It is like taking an enemy and making him your best friend.
Right?
Like, I think those are the people like walk us through. Like most people would like run away from that. It's like I can already tell that we're walking on eggshells. We're so different, and that person hates me already.
Right? And so I have a public-private self. So my public self is very much like over the top. You know, good to see you. How's it going? Loving being with you. Kind of give you a hug. My private self is very quiet, very introverted. I paint, I do art, I do all that stuff. But what I thrive on, and you nailed it, is I love that energy transfer. Right. And I believe in entropy. Right. I believe that 20% of the energy that I give is going to like explode into midair, and no one's ever going to be able to get it. But if I give you 100% of my energy, you're going to pick up 80%. Right. 20% of it's going to dissipate. And what I try to do is give as much as they can receive and give back to me at the same time, and then just a little bit more. Right? It's like a challenge by choice. When I work with teams, I tell them if you're like this comfortable challenging yourself, like an inch, go to an inch and a half. Just like push out of your comfort zone. So I push people progressively out of their comfort zone where they can start to grow. When I did a thing we did a nice agent thing at a conference I was at, and I dressed up like an ICE agent, except it said nice agent. And I walked up and I met everybody. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Nice hair, nice shoes. Good to see you this morning. It was first thing in the morning before people had their coffee. And I did that. And when I would connect with somebody, I would stand kind of 6 or 7 feet away. And then I would progressively move myself a little bit closer, and I would talk about things. You kind of like layer things on. So it's like, good to see you, nice to see you, nice smile, great shoes. So we start with all of those things, and then we move a little bit deeper as we begin to walk closer. We're like, you know what? It's good to see you having a big smile. What's making you happy today? Right? And then that's the next layer. Now they're exchanging the love and the caring and the energy back, and you keep stepping into it. If you try to step right in the middle of it, they're going to push you away, and they're going to be like, you're an idiot, leave me the hell alone. But if you progressively move in an honest, authentic, and caring way, people will let you in. They'll peel the onion for you.
Now I love that, and that's with individuals and kind of that schmoozing and totally winning people over. What about with groups? Like some people cringe at team building and the icebreakers, right, and like just the normal leadership stuff that's out there. Like, okay, well, how does that transfer then into a group of different personalities where you're reading a room and there's more than just one learning style and everything else? How do you kind of break the ice then with a group, and how should people kind of proceed in that first stage of winning people versus a person over?
Right. So if you've ever seen the movie Princess Bride, Andre the Giant was fighting the Dread Pirate Roberts, and he said, it's different if I'm fighting a whole army versus one person. And you're right. So it's absolutely different. So one of the first thing is that people have been so disrespected over the years for their time and energy when it comes to team design, when it comes to team building. So the first thing I get my clients to do is to not put team building on the list of things that we're doing today. Team building is inherent in the learning that we're providing. So there's 3 different types of team building. There's fun, fast forward, and fix. I call them the 3 Fs. Team building just for fun is like, hey, let's go throw axes, let's play mini golf, whatever. Let's have pizza and beer, whatever it is. Fast forward, I'll come back to that one. Fix is when you've got a dysfunctional team. You hire someone like me to come in and try to move the needle around how people learn and share together and create operational efficiencies. Fast forward is when we take learning objectives of the group and say we're launching a new strategic plan or sales strategy, and we tie in the components that we have to learn around that content area, and we add a layer of team building. So a layer of working together, some individual challenges, layering up the risk. People don't feel disrespected when the content is relevant. So when there's relevancy to the content that's being provided, that's number one. So no matter what we're doing, we're providing it in a relevant space, because otherwise it's fluff. Then we make sure that it's challenging, it's unique. When people have a challenging and unique environment, it creates dopamine response. They get a little charge every time they're doing something that's just a little bit different, but not way too far outside the box. We give them an opportunity to engage and interact, and we have a supportive, trusting kind of world. If you're watching online, you can see the model on right now. So this is my team learning model. We've got it's filled with relevant content. In the center of that is when team learning happens. Team learning happens when people feel that respect. They feel that connection to the learning. So that's part of it. And then it's a matter of aligning those learning preferences. It's a matter of understanding who's in the room. And not everybody is going to be one type of learning style or one type of learning preference. They're going to be
So walk us through maybe a group that you worked with that you were like, this was challenging. Like,
okay.
like, yeah. I paid to fix this. What was one of those stories?
One of those, yeah. We always love to hear the really shitty story of like, OMG, that was just so hard, right?
Yeah, but the turnaround, like,
well, I guess it's the turnaround kid kind of story, right? So I walk into a room and it is filled with project managers, and the project managers.
So what are project managers like? Like I've got something that popped in my head, but
right. So these project managers were mostly working in tech. So what happens is project managers they have their skill set, and then they learn the project management techniques. Project management is very naturalistic, where it's like process oriented. So they like to know what the beginning, middle, and end is. And this group was very high tech. So they were like super tech side. Like there was people from like NASA and what's the computer type companies. So they're very linear, very mathematical. And I walked in larger than life. And I disrespected them because I just I hit the ground running at like Mach 10, not even 100 miles an hour. I was Mach 10. And I kind of pushed them off of their seat so that they were like, this doesn't make sense. And about partway through the session, I realized that they had to have the context to what we were doing and understand the why, right? The why mattered to them, and the plan mattered to them. So then I shifted gears and I set up the event so that it could be more linear and they could understand why they were doing the things they were doing. So much so one of the project managers lifted her hand in the back. She goes, "You don't understand." We were talking about teams, and she said, "I work with a bunch of engineers at NASA. They don't do team building." And I said, "I'm going to give you a solution," which was music to their ears, because that's what they
Yeah.
wanted. They wanted that straight
Right.
shooter, right? And I gave her an example of a tool to do back at work on Monday. She did it. She wrote me back the next day and said it was a flying success. And she said the only thing they want now is what's next. And it was all because we just respected people's time. And what happened, the reason it was a shit show for me was I didn't respect their place when I walked in, right? I wasn't where they were when I started the event.
Okay. But once you kind of lost that rapport or didn't gain it, just listing time and why must have not been the only reason you were able to get everybody back and have this. Like what else about Tyler got this group like, he is really good and he's on our side.
Yeah, it's about building personal connections. So it's about how you move through the room. So as a speaker, it's about how you use the left side of the stage versus the right side of the stage, the center of the stage. It's about building activities and pivoting with activities so that people are feeling heard. So it's multimodal learning. It's looking at different types of modalities. It's about learning the same concept in different ways. It's about connecting with individuals inside the group. It's using good adult learning, allowing people to talk to one another and letting them be the star of the show. It's like being an orchestra conductor, right? It's about knowing, when to bring up one side of the orchestra and when to quiet down the other.
No, these are skills, and obviously you've honed them, and it's something you have to experience to really bite into.
Yeah.
But you've your introverted side of like over geeked out, over connected things, and come up with like 6 ways to actually team build. And the reason I bring this up is I've been to so many conventions and things, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And then I'm in my car or on a plane going, well, back to the real world again.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's about leaving people with how Monday can look different, right? I think that as a speaker, a trainer, a facilitator, our job is to leave somebody with one thing that they can try on Monday that will move the needle, right? And you can have the best experience. I mean, I've been in this business for 30 years. So I started out speaking to high school students in school gymnasiums.
Which is a hard group to talk to.
Listen, if you can speak to drunks and teenagers and keep their attention, you're winning. And I can do both, right? So I've done drunk audiences as well. But the trick is to figure out how it is that we can send them home with that one thing that they go, you know what? I can make a difference here, and it works. It's the low-hanging fruit principle, right? So you're laying out low-hanging fruit when you're with large groups, and then you're laying kind of mid-level things for people. So they're grabbing the low-hanging fruit, and as an entrepreneur, you want people to grab that low-hanging fruit so that they can win right away. Like back on Monday, they're winning. And then they go, well, if that worked, what about that medium-sized fruit, that height fruit that Tyler was talking about? And they grab for that. And then they go, okay, that worked too. It was a little bit more work, but that worked too. And then they come back to you and they say, okay, what's the really high fruit? How do we get there? And that's
Right.
when you then can engage at a different level.
So if you had to split that up, say, in different characters or phases of a team, how would you do that? Like if you were just giving complete control, okay, let's get this team working. I don't care how long it takes.
Yep.
What's the sequence for
right
those
there.
NASA people that need it?
It's the team Swell. It's so in my research over the last 30 years, I've designed this thing called the team Swell, which is a beginning, middle, and end. And for every team, there's an orientation phase. That's the beginning. It's when people are coming together. It feels a little scratchy. It feels a little weird, right? And as people are kind of joining, they're kind of trying to figure each other out. And that's when we do kind of some of those like orientation orientation, kind of get to know you kind of stuff where people don't feel icky. So that's the beginning. Then into the middle, we start to challenge them a little bit. We start to produce on what our learning objectives are, what our core team objectives are. We start to deliver. So we're starting to gain skill, gain connection, gain congruence. We do that by challenging, increasing people's skills, and providing them with motivation. And in the beginning, as a leader, we're pushing a lot of that stuff. Then somehow there's this magical ignition point where the group just goes, we get it, we're going. And then they start to pull themselves and they start to become engaged. It's way more powerful as a leader to have people pulling everybody else in the team to get up to their highest point. And where leaders make their mistakes is they get to that top point and they try to keep that engagement going too long. Once you start to hit the top of that engagement, that's when you need to go into the end, which is where you celebrate what it is that you've achieved and you set up for a new beginning, right? Humans, some of the people listening to this podcast are going to have projects that they've been working on for months, years, and there doesn't seem to be an end point.
Right.
No matter what it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And the trick is to create an end and create a new beginning. We all love to watch Netflix and we binge it. I'm watching The Pit right now, and I can't stop at the end because they get you up to this point where all of a sudden you're like, what's going to happen in the ER next? Right? And then you start watching the 10 minutes and you start to get engaged, and then they start to pull you back up. Next thing you know, it's 3:00 in the morning and you're still watching television. Right? That's what we create with our teams. That beginning, that middle, that end, that orientation, and we're constantly reorienting them to the next challenge that's ahead. That's what happens in the beginning, and then we push them a little bit to get to that point where they can ignite through skill development, challenge development, motivation, and eventually they get to the top, and then you close that shit down and you celebrate what it is that you've accomplished and you set up to go again. That's the model.
Now, for someone who has been in the business for 30 years,
yeah,
and knows these cycles,
yeah,
and loves fun,
yeah.
What about your own life? What's kind of the adventures along this cerebral journey of team development and humans?
Yeah, you know what?
What about yourself? Like, what's been kind of these ups, downs, and the fun you've had with it?
So I've been blessed. I mean, 30 years of living life large. The reason I got into the business, so I was doing like rock climbing, hiking, outward bound kind of stuff in my business. Got invited to go talk to a high school, loved it, and what I loved was people wanted to hear my stories of adventure, whether it's rock climbing, whether it's swimming with great white sharks, whether it's flying trick airplanes over the Grand Canyon, whether it's canyoning in the Swiss Alps, whatever it is, like all these amazing world adventures that I've had, I get paid to go and talk about the things that I'm writing off as my learning development as I travel around the world. And I get to tell my stories, and I get to take my kids. This business has been wonderful because I was able to be a full-time dad at home. When I was gone, but I was able to really raise my children. I was able to flip 9 properties and make a little bit of money on the side. This business allowed me to feed my ADHD by having multiple projects on the go at a time, to be able to go from, I recorded like books on tape. Like, that's how old I am. There's books on tape, there's CDs, now they're MP3s. Now I've got AI. I've written 30 books. Like,
30.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're not all War and Peace. It's actually cheaper to print a book than it is to print a card deck. So some of them are like glorified card decks, but that's another long story. But it still is an ISBN, so it's still a book. And it feeds I found a job that feeds what makes me happy. It aligns with my purpose, and I get to like share things that I think matter. I get to get people out of the cycle of crappy team building and show them what a really good time can feel like. That's developmental, and I get them to watch them walk away with a smile. I love that. Like that's just amazing. Like that's the gold. I get paid too, right? Like I get the gold of people winning, and that sounds hokey, but like that's really what it's all been about for me. I believe that the money always follows that joy that people have.
I love it. So how do people find these resources, and how do they find you?
Well, yeah, I mean, online, you can come find me at tylerhayden.com. We'll put the link somewhere in the show notes. So it's tylerhayden.com. I also have rubberchicken.ai. That's our new AI project where I've taken my 30 years of experience in books and all that kind of stuff and put it into these little chat bots. One will help you build better icebreakers, team building, all based on the learning styles. We've got a debrief, a little leadership coach in there. I'll help you with your leadership growth, Energizer's reward recognition strategy, all inside. So you can come out, check out rubberchicken.ai or tylerhayden.com. And love to help you. If you have a conference keynote upcoming, or you just want to chat about your team, reach out. I will respond.
I love it. And definitely check out Tyler. He is the man when it comes to team building here.
Awesome.
And
thanks, I appreciate you, Doc.
Absolutely.
Let's go with a doctor. Doctor says I'm the guy for team building. Let's go.
It's here. Absolutely. Right. And, well, of course, stay tuned to the next episode of The Hardy Brain, the show that takes athletic, introverted entrepreneurs and leaders and transforms them into ironclad brain performers. Take care.